Welcome to this cinematic explainer. Today, we're going to navigate the truly monumental landscape of India's medical admissions, a journey that lakhs of ambitious aspirants embark upon every single year. You see, the pursuit of a medical career here is defined by profound dedication, immense pressure, and one singular defining gateway, the National Eligibility Cum Entrance Test, widely known as NEET. We are going to unpack the architecture, the complex history, and the intense ground-level realities of this exam to understand exactly what it takes to secure a coveted medical seat in India. Here is our roadmap for today. We'll quickly cover the evolution of the medical exam, the architecture of NEET, the recent perfect score era, eligibility and attempts, and finally, the crucible of counseling. Let's jump right in. To truly grasp the gravity of the arena modern aspirants face, we have to start with Section 1, the evolution of the medical exam. Now, the journey to our current system has been pretty tumultuous. For decades, stretching all the way back to 1988, the CBSE conducted the All India Pre-Medical Test, or AIMPT. But honestly, the system was incredibly fragmented. In 2013, NEET was introduced to unify everything, but it was almost immediately quashed by the Supreme Court following petitions from various states and private institutions. It wasn't until 2016, backed by a mandate from a 5-judge constitution bench, that NEET was legally restored. And finally, by 2019, the execution of this colossal exam was handed over to the National Testing Agency, or NTA, firmly cementing its modern era. What's really fascinating here is the stark contrast between these two eras. During the old AIPNT days, students faced tremendous mental and financial exhaustion. They often had to travel across the country, preparing for multiple distinct state-level and private medical exams, dealing with varying syllabi and inconsistent transparency. The shift to NEET changed the game. It brought a streamlined, one nation, one exam reality, serving as a single gateway for 100% of medical seats across government, private, and deemed universities. That brings us perfectly to our next phase, Section 2. The architecture of NEET. Today, the National Testing Agency acts as the sole custodian of this gateway. And interestingly, despite being in the digital age, NEET remains a massive, offline, pen and paper examination. The NTA meticulously curates the syllabus based entirely on the core concepts of physics, chemistry, and biology taught in the 11th and 12th standards, keeping strictly to the NCRT framework. Let's break down the paper itself because the structure is incredibly precise. Over the course of 180 intense minutes, an aspirant must navigate exactly 180 multiple-choice questions. Notice the profound weightage given to the biological sciences here. Botany and zoology combined account for 90 questions. That is exactly 50% of the entire examination, while physics and chemistry share the remaining half. 720. That is the ultimate target score, is the absolute ceiling of perfection that every single medical aspirant dreams of reaching, with each of those 180 questions carrying a weight of 4 marks. But here is where the pressure really mounts. The ruthless marking scheme. It's an arena where a single incorrect response invokes a negative mark. Get it right, you earn 4 marks. Leave it blank, you get a 0. But if you guess incorrectly, you actually lose 1 mark from your total score. This demands not just comprehensive knowledge, but absolute unwavering precision. Just one careless mistake can literally drop an aspirant's All-India rank by thousands of positions. Which naturally leads us to a highly scrutinized chapter in the exam's legacy. Section 3, the perfect score era. In 2024, a staggering and completely unprecedented 67 candidates achieved a flawless 720 out of 720. To put that into perspective, for years, seeing even 1 or 2 perfect scores was considered a rarity. This sudden, massive surge vividly illustrates the sheer intensity of modern competition. The highest echelons of aspirants are truly pushing the boundaries of what is academically possible. Now, as a matter of historical record, that 2024 result was partly an anomaly. 44 of those 67 top scorers actually benefited from a dual-answer physics question regarding atoms, which stemmed from a discrepancy between old and new editions of the NCERT textbook. On top of that, the NTA initially awarded compensatory grace marks to over 1,500 students for lost time at certain exam centers. This unique convergence sparked massive controversy, a CBI investigation into paper leak allegations, and eventual Supreme Court intervention, which ultimately led to the withdrawal of those grace marks and a mandated retest to maintain the integrity of the system. So you might be wondering, what happens when perfection gets crowded and thousands of students score identical marks? Well, the NTA relies on a very strict tie-breaking hierarchy. First, they look at biology. The candidate with higher marks there gets the higher rank. If there's still a tie, it moves down to chemistry, and then physics. And if absolutely everything is identical, amazingly, the elder candidate by age is granted the higher rank. But before an aspirant can even face those tiebreakers, they have to clear the foundational hurdles. Let's look at Section 4, Eligibility and Attempts. Fortunately, the landscape here is quite welcoming. While the exam itself is fiercely competitive, the gates to enter are kept wide open. You must be at least 17 years old, but crucially, there is currently no upper age limit. Plus, historical caps on attempts have been entirely removed. Whether it's your first attempt or your fifth, as long as you secure a minimum 50% aggregate in physics, chemistry, and biology in your 12 standard board exams, you are fully eligible to compete. Passing the exam, however, is only half the battle. Next comes Section 5, the intense crucible of counseling. Let's consider the mathematical reality for a moment. Across India, there are roughly 1,96,000 total medical seats encompassing all disciplines: MBBS, BDS, Ayush, and veterinary. However, the most coveted prize, the MBBS degree, makes up only about 1,09,000 of those seats. When you juxtapose that limited number against the staggering 24 lakh students who applied in 2024, the profound bottleneck of this system becomes strikingly clear. And the battlefield itself is systematically divided. The Medical Counseling Committee handles the centralized counseling for the elite 15% All-India quota, which includes all seats at prestigious central institutions like AIIMS and JIPMER. The remaining 85% of seats are fiercely contested within individual state domiciles, managed by state-specific authorities. Navigating that all-India quota requires a meticulous choice-filling strategy. You aren't just choosing based on your all-India rank. You have to balance institutional prestige against geographic realities. And crucially, financial constraints play a massive role here. A government medical college might cost around 70,000 rupees a year, but a private seat or a deemed university can easily cost upwards of 1 crore rupees over the duration of the course. It is a highly complex matrix of rank, ambition, and socioeconomic reality. So, as we wrap up this deep dive into the demanding, meticulously structured ecosystem of the NEET examination, it leaves us with one provocative thought about the journey ahead for every future doctor. The path from aspirant to physician requires so much more than just memorizing a textbook. With lakhs of aspirants vying for a fraction of available seats, do you have the absolute precision, the immense endurance, and the calculated strategy required to survive India's ultimate medical crucible? Thank you for joining us on this explainer, and we will see you next time.